Welcome in, fans, to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. I'm your host, Randon, here with me, my best buddies, Dustin and Ryan. We're getting ready. The preseason is over, baby. NHL is back, and so are the Mammoth. We've got you set up tonight with the lineup that's going to go into the first three road games leading into that home opener next Wednesday. Dustin, welcome in, my man. Ryan, welcome in. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm feeling very out of place. Like, you two are wearing like Utah Mammoth gear. Ryan's got on a hat, and I'm sitting here in my Mariners hat with my Golden Girls FU shirt on, and I feel out of place. But I need to get myself a jersey down there for sale.
You know what? It's not every day that the Mariners make the playoffs, though, so you've got to represent there.
We won our first playoff game a couple of days ago, and I have not experienced a Mariners playoff win since before I could legally drive. So it's been a minute.
Congratulations there. Ryan, how are you doing, buddy? You watching the playoffs, or you just excited the hockey's back?
A little bit of both. I've been looking forward to the Philly-Dodger series. It's not going the way I wanted it to because the Dodgers. My hopes of it being a Phillies-Brewers NLCS is not looking good. But yeah, I'm happy hockey's back. We got the day started off with Florida and Chicago at 3, and that was a really good game just to get back into hockey.
Man, it's so exciting. That was a hype game too. After the preseason that Florida had and all the noise surrounding the physicality of it, it was just a really fast-paced, good game. Florida looks just as good as they did last year, and Chicago surprisingly looks really good too. Not good for the Central Division, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, Chicago surprised me with how well they played.
The kids looked a lot better than they did last year. I'm not going to say they look great or anything, but they looked a lot more cohesive than they did a year before.
Now that happens. That's what they want out of the Utah roster, right? Is our next big step is that we just simply get older. And that's kind of the next big, you know what I'm trying to say. It's the next evolution of this team is simply age. But speaking of this team, we've got it. The roster is set. Let's put it up on the big board and let's talk about it. We mentioned on the first episode about heading into the preseason and out of training camp who might make the team. We were, of course, looking at Dmitry Shimashev, Daniil Booth, Tisha Ginla were kind of the big names, but another name, surprisingly, made the roster, Andrew Agazino. Now, there were some injuries, but we've got the opening night roster. What we will see on Thursday against Colorado, not necessarily, it doesn't say who's going to be scratched or anything, but let's get your first impressions. Ryan, what's your first impression of the opening night roster for the Mammoth?
First thing that I'm the happiest about is my boy, Kyler Yamamoto. He earned a spot yet again, and he wasn't blocked by a 6'4" Minnesota roadblock named Nicholas Bukestad like he was last year. Shimashev, I feel like they're, like me and you were talking about this off air, Randon, they're probably going to do the same thing with Lamoureux, give him a few games, see how he does, and then send him back down. And he's more or less just kind of there either to get a couple games in or, God forbid, somebody gets hurt or Ian Cole needs a break because, he's old.
He's getting up there. He's getting his senior citizen parking ready. But yeah, Andrew actually had a really nice goal and had a pretty good preseason, I would say. It came down to him and a few others, but he did just enough to make the roster. I don't think he did enough to play in the NHL. Dustin, what are your initial thoughts on this opening night roster?
I was going to say that I think Agazito's only there because he's going to be out for a while, at least a short term. So that's probably why we see him there. I think I wouldn't even call it a surprise, but I would have expected Maverick Lamoureux to make the roster over Shimashev. But I like seeing Shimashev there instead, just because I think he's got, I don't know if I'd say a brighter future. I like him better, I'd say. Vanacek played really well in the preseason, which I liked seeing, but it does scare me about what we've talked about before, about Bear not going with like a 4 to 5 to 1 goalie start ratio. I don't want to see them going towards like 1-1 or 2-1. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty much what we expected, and Liam O'Brien can just stay on the injured list. It's okay in a blue jersey, but he can just keep it on. Join me with the blue shirt and we'll talk hockey rather than play hockey.
He was, he was in his no contact jersey, so he's at least skating. Now, Barrett Hayton was too, so that's going to be the big thing to watch because Barrett Hayton, yes, he's on the team, but there is not necessarily a guarantee that he's going to be ready to go on Thursday. So if Andrew Agozzino is going to have a chance to do it, it's going to be because they feel that Barrett Hayton can't go on Thursday. Otherwise, I think he's going to be sitting in the press box for a while. And, good on him, though, for making the team, right? He's been basically a career age Eller. I think he has less than 30 NHL games in his entire career. He's not exactly the youngest guy on the team, so he's been around a long time. And it's exciting when those types of players get a shot in the NHL, whether it is actually going to be a long-term shot or not. Well, that remains to be seen. But I think we are all in agreement that as soon as Alexander Kerfoot is healthy, he is gone. That's another question that I've seen multiple reports. There's no definitive timetable for Alex Kerfoot's return, but I've heard some people refer to it just as IR, which can be very short term, but some people have referred to it as LTIR. For the long term, he has to be out for at least 10 games. Now, I don't want to see that. I don't like that because I think Alexander Kerfoot, we've talked about this at length, he's one of the most versatile players we have on our team. I think he was the only guy who played on all four lines, plays on the penalty kill. I think he even got some power play time. Like, he's just that versatile. And he's a very big piece to what makes this team successful, especially that successful fourth line. So hopefully he can come back soon. And Dustin, I couldn't agree more with you about the goaltender rotation. It is Turigny. I don't trust him. Everyone knows this. I don't trust Andre Turigny to do anything. And I just hope he surprises me and has a little bit of patience with Vejmelka, because you're right, Vejmelka didn't necessarily have the greatest preseason. Vanecek did have a really good preseason, so we'll see how that pans out in the first 10, 15 games of the season.
I think Vanecek having the preseason he did should be taken not as a sign of I need to split the time between them. He should look at it and go, okay, Vejmelka's our starter, but look, we got this guy back in him. If he falls, we got a stud ready to go at any given time. Is he going to look at it like that? Probably not.
Yeah, we're not going to wind up in a situation like where we had Stauber behind Vejmelka last season, and he just feels obligated to start him for 20 games in a row because he can't rely on Stauber. I think, hopefully, I think you're right? Just look at it as you have a very good, very capable goalie behind him, but he doesn't need to start once every third game.
Vanecek has been hit or miss the past few seasons, but he did look good in the preseason, and I hope it's the case where, if you look at it, it's so funny because you look at Ingram and Vejmelka, and they kind of have flip-flopped. One has a really good season, one has a not great season. The other one has a really good season, then the other one has a not great season. So I would like us to have two goalies who are having good times. Obviously Ingram had his issues, but speaking of Ingram, now that he's got McDavid on there who signs the hometown discount of the century, I really hope that Ingram finds a way to make that roster and plays alongside, because he will have a legitimate shot to make a Stanley Cup final if he can find a way to play his way onto that roster. He'll start in the AHL, but good on Ingram getting picked up by the Edmonton Oilers.
Is it a hometown discount, or is it a warning like, hey, here's 2 years, we get the cup or I'm gone? It feels more like that you got 2 years to get me a cup or I'm gone, and I'm going to go sign with the New York Rangers in 2028, and I'm going to laugh so hard when that happens.
I feel like it's both. Like, he's giving them a discount saying, hey, I'm taking I'll give you some extra capital to bring in some help if you need to, but I will leave if it's not going right. I will go cup chasing. I will play Karl Malone at the end of his career and just go try to team up with people where I can win a championship, because nobody wants to retire and be referred to as one of the greatest to never win it all. You hear about that with John Stockton and Karl Malone all the time. Like, two of the greatest players to never win it all. Like, you don't want to finish your career like that. So I think it's both. Give him a little bit of leeway so that he's not like just drowning the salary cap, but also a warning shot of like, we gotta win soon.
Guys, I want your thought on this about the roster, because we've had some comments about it last season. So there are 8 defensemen on this lineup, right? It's not necessarily cause for concern right now. However, in the preseason, we saw a 7 defenseman lineup. Last year, we saw multiple games with a 7 defenseman lineup. Now, Ryan, you alluded to this. Argument that I will make is, and it's an argument that a lot of the sports writers have been making, the local media, that Dmitry Simashev is a guy who needs to play. You can't just have him sitting in the press box. He has to play, whether it's in the NHL or the AHL. I worry that we're going to do a 7 defenseman strategy system, whatever you say, just so we get Simashev on the ice. I don't know necessarily that Simashev plays with 6 defensemen, but I think we're going to run 7 defensemen just to get him on the ice. Thoughts? Am I way off base? What are we thinking?
I don't think Bear is that stupid. Look, he's stupid, but he's not completely bedarded. If anything, somebody good is going to take a seat every game so Simashev can play. You know what I mean? Like, who's your bottom? Like, DeSimone, Schmidt, Cole. One of them's going to be sitting every game so the kid can play. And then if he sucks like Lamoureux, hopefully we don't have to endure it for 15 games. We only have to endure it for the 3 or 5, maybe 10 at the most. But what do I know? I'm not a GM.
Lamoureux had his back against the wall because he had to play because of injuries. Simashev doesn't. He does not need to play. So I think they're going to force him to play. Dustin, what are you thinking?
I want to see him play instead of Ian Cole as long as he can stay out of the box. Because, like, Ian Cole is just Maverick Lamoureux, but very old. He just loves
Maverick
to
Lamoureux
go
doesn't
to the
have
box.
2 cups. Okay, Ian Cole provides veteran cup bringing veteranness.
So we brought Nate Schmidt on for.
Veteranness doesn't work for if the veteran is sitting in the box. All he does is he goes on the ice and he's like, "Look at me, I'm a veteran," and then he cross-checks somebody and he goes to the box.
Exactly
what good is having your veteran do?
That is exactly what a veteran is supposed to do.
You want your veteran to go on the ice, immediately cross-check someone, go sit in the box for 2 minutes, and then skate back over to the bench?
Ian Cole has earned that privilege.
He is a liability on the ice. We put him on the bingo card in Ian Cole.
I never said he wasn't. He wasn't.
But he is a shot block extraordinaire, and he's a very talented defenseman. As old as he is, he's a shot block extraordinaire, led the league in shot blocks. Like, he's a good defenseman. But, like, I feel like Nick DeSimone has just been the most underrated defenseman we've had ever since we picked him up on waivers. Like, he's just been good, just a really solid player. I think he had a really good preseason too. And I don't like that he is sitting just so, I don't know, sold on our rookies. I said this before. I'm not sold that our rookies are like NHL ready now. And there's a reason that only one of them made the team. And I'm calling it now. Dmitry Simashev will be in the AHL by game 15, just like Lamoureux, except the situation is different because Lamoureux had to play because of injuries. Simashev is getting to play. Even while everybody's healthy, he's getting to play. Assuming no injuries, I think Simashev goes down into the AHL 15 games in, but I guarantee you, I'm guaranteeing it, they will run 7 defensemen just to get him on the ice. This will happen, and I don't like it. In fact, I hate it. But if you have to, you're going to sit DeSimone and Cole, both, I don't know. I don't think the team's better with that. I love what Simashev will become. I don't say what he may become. I say what he will become, because he's going to be very good. We don't need to force it, though. We have a very good defensive core without him. We do not need to force his development, and I worry that that's what's happening, that we hyped up these rookies so much and that the team wants to play it because they were hyped up so much. But I hope I'm wrong. We've got our defensemen set. We'll discuss them and debate them more in the coming weeks. But let's turn our attention to the forwards. So the top 6, I don't think, assuming no injuries, right? Top 6, we pretty much know is going to be Schmaltz, Keller, Hayton, and Gunther, Peterka, and Cooley. But those bottom 6, there are some spots up for grabs. Specifically, I'm looking at Agazino, Yamamoto, and Carcone. Those are the 3 guys who we assume are going to be on the hot seat. Now, of those 3 guys, which one do you like the most? And who do you see sitting on the bench between those 3? Agazino, Carcone, and Yamamoto. Ryan?
Kyler Yamamoto. It's got to be Yamamoto. He's earned his spot the last 2 years. Like, he's been arguably every time he's on the ice one of the most aggressive guys on the ice. Not in like a fight you kind of way, but just see puck get puck kind of way and just being an absolute pest. And he was great in Montreal, I think, a couple of years ago. And he's kind of been trying to fight his way back into the NHL ever since. And I feel like he's the perfect guy to add to our third or fourth line, fighting for that kind of spot. And he's going to score not a lot of goals, but he's going to score goals. And that's something you can never get enough of.
Need depth goal scoring. Dustin, do you like Yamamoto? Who do you got?
I mean, I like Yamamoto. He gave us some highlight clips last year, and I've mentioned it before, but that one where he crosses the blue line and dumps the puck and then checks, and like, it's a great highlight. But Agazito, he brings you like we just talked about with Ian Cole, like that like veteran type guy. Like, he's been around the league. He's been in the league since like the mid-aughts. I'm not the aughts, but the mid-2010s. And he's bounced around. He's played for different franchises. Like, is the forward version of what Nick DeSimone has been for this team. Like, the guy that, like, he's bounced around the league. He's kind of a journeyman, but he comes here and he finds his niche. And in the preseason, that seems like what he did. Like, he's just like he finally found his home. So as much as I like Yammer, I think Agazito has a good chance to carve out a role with this team. I think he could be this year's offensive version of Nick DeSimone.
I think it would be a fun storyline if he can make it into something and flourish in the NHL as his career winds down. I really look at a guy like Carcone, who had another great preseason, back-to-back years where he's the first goal scorer of the franchise in the preseason. And I still look at him, though, as a person who's going to be on the outside looking in more often than not. And I love Carcone. I love the way he plays. I think he's unfortunately going to try to do too much, right? Like, you've got like Logan Cooley, who's trying to play himself into an $11 million paycheck. You've got Nick Schmaltz, who's trying to play for relevancy, maybe on a team that's not the Mammoth next season. We'll see. Now, Carcone wasn't happy when he left, and I don't think he's going to be happy this year. I think Carcone's going to be the odd man out, and I have been super impressed with Kyler Yamamoto. I love the guy's fight. I think he embodies. He's a smaller guy, but I think he embodies what this team wants to become, right? They want to look at their size advantage that they have in some of their prospects, and they want to get into that physical style of team. We're never going to be a Florida, but Kyler Yamamoto plays with the type of heart and like underrated physicality that you want out of this team. But you've got some options, and that's what's important. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully injuries don't play much more of a factor. When Kerfoot comes in, there's going to be a lot more decisions to be made, but hopefully we don't have more injuries making decisions.
I will ask this, and it's something that we did see this preseason, but last year we laughed a little bit at Lawson Krause's Wikipedia page because it says nicknamed the sheriff by the team and fans for his tough physical play. And we kind of laughed at that, but he has said, especially in the preseason, like he wants to be more of like a tough physical, like hard-nosed presence this year. Do you think that we're going to see that from him this year?
He better. He got in the one fight in the preseason so far. But for God's sakes, dude, you're 6'4", 230 pounds. You should have been being the law, son. Like, come on. Why did it take till now for you to figure this shit out? I'm happy you're gonna do it, but we'll see what happens out there. And if he does do it, then I will be okay with O'Brien being, officially canned. Haha, tuna joke.
What's funny about his fights is I never look at him as a fighter, and even his fights were kind of awkward. He crushed him. He dominated. He was not fighting another guy who was capable of fighting back. He did stand up for his guys, and I think that's what you want out of him. So I think here's what Lawson Krause needs to do to fully embrace that physicality role. He needs to realize that he's never getting back on that second line. His second line days are done, and he is fighting for a third line spot at best. And once he comes to terms with that, I think he's going to truly embrace that physicality, and he can still get to 20 goals on that third line. Will he? I don't know, but he still can, and he can be a much bigger presence, though, being on that third line because it's going to be incredible with having McBain and possibly Yamamoto or Carcone, guys who can score as well. Like, that's going to be an offensive prolific line. It also needs to have physicality, and that's going to come from Krause, as long as McBain doesn't spend too much time in the box after all of his fights.
Dude, throw Brandon Tanev on that line, and that would be insane. Lawson Krause, Jack McBain, and Brandon Tanev just running after you. That's terrifying. That's got to be your third line. It has to be.
Yeah, that is a very large, bulky, very powerful line. Like, as much as I loved our third line, and I know the line shifted a lot last year, but there was like a good 4 or 5 week chunk where our third line, the way that they were playing, was phenomenal. I've said multiple times that we had the best third line in the league. Whether it's Tanev or Yamamoto on that third line, I feel like I could like that one, especially if it's Tanev. Like, just the idea of Krause, McBain, and Tanev on a line together, that gets me feeling all happy and excited. Like, I could fall absolutely in love with that line.
Tanev is going to be a fan favorite. I guarantee it. Like, he is going to be one of the most favorite players on this team for these fans. And you've seen some of his goal scoring. His breakaway goal was incredible. He's not quite the fighter that I was thinking he was, but he's a very physical player who can drop the gloves. But if Krause and McBain are going to do it for you, you don't need to. You just get under some people's skins and get some retaliation penalties. But I will say, I really like the Yamamoto, Stenlin, and Tanev line when it played in the preseason. So you can't go wrong. Like, that's the best part about this, right? Like, we talk about our top 2 lines being set in stone that I worry Turigny's going to mess with to try to find something that works. He can mix and match his third and fourth lines, and I don't think you can miss, because you've got guys that are so versatile who can do what you want your third and fourth line guys to, that, like, even if he messes with it, I don't think he can mess it up. I think he can mess up the first 2 lines by messing with them too much, but I don't think he can do that in the third and fourth line. So I'm excited to see what he cooks up, because it's gonna be great to see. Now let's look ahead to the games. We've got 3 big road games coming up. Dustin, you were the one who mentioned this in episode 1 about how important these first few games of this season are, because it gets substantially tougher going into the back end of October and November. And we're going to break down the first 3 games. We've got the season opener against Colorado on Thursday. Then they travel to Nashville on Saturday. And then they head to Chicago on Monday. Dustin, what are you thinking coming out of these 3 very crucial away games to start the season for the Mammoth?
I think you absolutely have to come out of these 3 games 2-1 at the least. Like, I would prefer if you're going to drop one for it to be 2-0-1, obviously, and pick up 5 points. But Colorado, like, they're going to be a good team. Now, granted, they're playing a late game tonight as we record this. They're playing, I believe, the Kings. I'm okay if you lose that game. It's on the road. It's against Colorado. Colorado's going to be a very good team this year. But Nashville and Chicago, you're better than both of those teams. You should beat both of those teams, even if they're on the road. You have to come out of this with at least 4 points. And you know what? If it's a win and 2 overtime losses, I'm not going to gripe. But you need at least 4 points from these.
100%. Ryan, we started last season 3 wins. We've got 3 away games. What are you thinking? Can we do 3 wins? Or is 2-1 the best we can hope for?
No, we absolutely could go 3-0. I know Colorado's a good team, but of all the teams that we always refer to in the league that everybody likes to bring up, I feel like Colorado is the most fallible one of them all. They're easily the team that if they came out to an 0 whatever, none of us would be surprised. If they go out to a rocky start, get it? Rockies. Ha ha. I firmly believe, yeah, we could go 0. I wouldn't be surprised. And I will gripe if we go 1-0-2, because we're better than that. I have better hopes for that, or for our team, because I think we got better. And the other problem is all the other teams that were around us last year also got better. Anaheim got better. Chicago got better. San Jose got better. We have to be better. And so we kind of need to hold ourselves to a little bit of a higher standard. Now, am I going to be expecting us to beat Colorado? Maybe, not necessarily, but I think it's a 50-50 game more than people are going to say it's a 50-50 game. I don't think Colorado's the team everybody says they are, but that's just me personally.
You know,
Colorado-
I will amend my statement. Like Ryan, I think it depends on how we get the 4 points. Like if we come out and we beat Colorado on the road and we start off with 2 points, if we then only get 2 more out of the next 2 games, whether it's a win and a loss or 2 overtime losses, I will be disappointed with that. So I guess if it's like a win and 2 overtime losses, it would depend on how it goes. But yeah, maybe I'm only gonna be thrilled with 4 points if we take 0 from Colorado.
If we already started off with 2 overtime losses, I would be a sad, sad panda. Looking at the Colorado Avalanche, right? We dropped the season series. We played them 3 times last year, and we lost 2, 1-1. Played 3 different goalies last year. We played against Blackwood, Wedgwood, and then a Noonan. Made a Noonan look like a god, and beat Wedgwood, who will be likely the starter. Now, Blackwood did not travel to the game against the Kings, so he's not confirmed whether he will get the start on Thursday or whether it will be Wedgwood. We beat Wedgwood. The only goalie that we beat on Colorado was Wedgwood. So does that look good for us if Blackwood is out? Then yeah, but I think there's going to be some lingering feelings. And now I don't know that there's any necessarily hits or fights or anything, but maybe. But Logan Cooley has been pretty much no contact since the hit that he took in the preseason. And fans are foaming at the mouth because of the Bardakov hit on Logan Cooley, which kind of was answered for in the preseason. But if Bardakov plays, which it doesn't look like he's playing against the Kings, it looks like he's a scratch against the Kings. So is he a scratch on Thursday? Probably. But if he's not, there might be some more fireworks, even though technically he already has answered for his hit on Logan Cooley, but he didn't answer for the result of the hit, which kept Cooley out of a few more preseason games and some practice time. So we'll see if that frustration boils over or if it's just a solid game, no hard feelings.
I do wonder if the result of the hit was as bad as, like, if it would have been that bad if we were in the regular season. Like if it was one of those things where if we're halfway through the regular season and we need Logan Cooley to be playing, would he still be playing, or was it just, all right, we're in the preseason, we don't need Cooley, he can kind of take some time off to let that heal a little bit. So like maybe we're overreacting to the result just because they held him out just to be safe instead of he's out for a while because that.
Now, well, that is a possibility. I think we should play this game not with the intent of you guys hurt one of us, we should hurt one of you, but hey, you guys did hurt one of us. We need to play this game more physical than we would say other teams. And considering they're one of our rivals in our division, and as a fan, I want to build the Rocky Mountain rivalry to the peak. So if we just go out guns a-blazing against them and just play, that step up play, as Randon would say, Florida Panther hockey against just against Colorado, I'd be happy with that.
We got to set a tone. I would love to see that rivalry blossom into something great. And we'll see. There's a chance if
I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but I want to see a good rivalry.
Absolutely. We'll see how it all plays out. But then they get out of Colorado. They go directly to Nashville. Now, Nashville is a team that we should be better than. We are on paper better than Nashville. And Nashville beat us 2 out of the 3 times we played, including our season-ending home game. And also, we played them as the season-ending game, the game that we finally beat them, 7-3. So we finally got vengeance. But Nashville's an enigma. Nashville, I think, in my opinion, played so far below their potential last season that I don't know what to expect out of them this season. Are they going to be equally terrible, or are they going to be what I thought they were going to be last year, which is competing for a division title? This is a team that I think is under the radar, and I worry about them, but I'm hoping that what they were last year is who they really are, and then we should go into Nashville and take that from them, which isn't, I think, the easier of the 3 games, but that Nashville team is still an enigma to me. I'm not sure what to expect out of them. You guys see that as an easy win, medium win, tough loss? What are we thinking?
And I won't say that any game on the road is going to be an easy win, but it's about like if you're looking at it, it's skewing more towards easy on the easy side of medium than it is the difficult side of medium. It is a game that obviously they should win. They're better across the board than Nashville. I won't say it's an easy win because it's on the road, but it's a definite should win.
Now, was last year a fluke season for Nashville, or are they all just a bunch of guys getting older? And are they the same group of guys that had a season last year that are now a year older trying to run it back again? I feel like we should be better than them. On paper, yes, and I feel like we're just the better team than Nashville. So yeah, I'm going to say chalk that one up as a win.
On the ice, we should be better than them, and got to get one of the wins in those first 2 games. You can't go down 0-2, because then you go into a Chicago team. Granted, was not good. They're young, they're rebuilding. Right, last year was not good, but they look to be a little bit better. Frank Nazar looks to be a really good player. Connor Bedard is a really good player, and Spencer Knight looks to be a really good goalie. So I think Chicago's not going to be a walk in the park like they were last year. But last year we did dog walk them twice, beat them close once, and lost in overtime to that Bedard game winner, but beat them 3 out of the 4 times. So we had their number, including, of course, the home opener. But that was against a year younger Chicago team. This year they look to be better. I still think this one has to be a win. Like, you have to beat Chicago and come back home on that winning streak. Not necessarily a 3-game winning streak, but you have to at least beat Chicago on Monday. Even though Chicago is going to be a better team this year than they were last year, we are still a significantly better team than them, and I think we will outspeed the speed of Chicago. We won't need to try to grind them down or anything. We are a faster team than Chicago, and Chicago will not know what to do with that, and they won't be able to keep up.
Yeah, I think Chicago is a lot better than they were last year, but watching the game against Florida today, they still make the same mistakes they were making last year. It's just less of the mistakes that they make as a younger team. And I think we, as another young team, which we were better than last year, as long as everything still works out the way it has been, we should be able to still be a step or 2 ahead of them. But I feel like that's going to be a good game. I feel like out of the 2 teams, they're the closest. Not necessarily in skill, like overall, but I feel like Bedard evens out a lot of the talent they lack. And he is becoming a dominant kid. Like, he's showing it every game. He's getting better and better. But I feel like as long as you can stop Bedard, you can stop the Blackhawks. But also, Spencer Knight did look very, very good. But can he hold that up over and over? You know what I mean? He's going to have to play like that every single night.
And I'm not, has Knight ever been a number 1 goalie in his time in the league? Like, it is a huge step up from being a backup in Florida, where you're just expected to go out there and try not to lose a game once every 5 or 6 games. It is a whole different story when you're the guy and you have to go out there and perform night in and night out. Like, Chicago, obviously, Bedard is phenomenal, and if he decides to just play out of his mind, like, you could lose a game like that just because of the pure star power that they have. But it is a game that, much like we just talked about, Utah is a better all-around team. That's one where if we are going with that monster third line that we talked about, that's the type of game that line wins for you.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one. A great way to start the season. 3 excellent games coming at you until we come home to that epic game against Calgary, starting the first home game as the Utah Mammoth. There's watch parties throughout the valley. I don't know where they are, but they're there. But watch it. We've got games coming up on Utah 16. We've got them on SEG Plus. You got them at your local bars and restaurants. Well, maybe not restaurants, but there's watch parties out there, guys. You just watch them. But you know what you should be watching for is your bingo card. Get your bingo cards now. You've got to get your 2-line pass bingo cards because you can play them anywhere. You can play them at the restaurant. You can play them at the bar. You can play them at the home. Don't play them while driving, but have somebody else drive and you play bingo. Come play bingo with us, guys. It's going to be great. We've got prizes all season long. We're going to do month to month. We're going to give you guys a chance to contribute and pick some of the bingo boards as we go on. We're going to need more and more suggestions to help keep those fun and interactive. We gave away the first prize. It was a Logan Cooley jersey going to Devin JD. Congratulations, my man, won the prize. So who's going to win the sweater? Who's going to win the sweatshirt for October bingo? I don't know, but you can't win if you don't play. So hit us up to play some bingo with us. Hey guys, you got any closing thoughts for us before we get on out of here?
Tusks up.
Business opportunities available. DM me.
You heard it here first, guys. Tusks up. The season is here. NHL hockey is back, and we will be with you on Thursday against Colorado Avalanche. Everybody out there, thanks so much for listening. Thanks for following the podcast, and everybody have a great night.